Hey guys, let's take a look at the ATI quarterly report for the fourth quarter of 2023. And the reason why I look at this, the reason why I think this is important is I have always used these numbers to benchmark the performance of my physical therapy practice. Doesn't mean I'm doing good or bad if I exceed or, don't. It just gives me some objective measures so that I can see what my business is doing relative to what other similar businesses are doing. Now, of course, I'm nowhere near the size of an ATI, but at least it's a publicly traded company. US Physical Therapy is another that publicly share their information. So this was Q4 2023. You can see that net revenue was $182 million, which was up from $177 million. $177 million was from Q3. $182 million was for Q4. Their quarter over quarter increase was 2.7%, 12.7% year over year. I can tell you that my physical therapy practice has not grown 12% year over year in probably 10 years. But we've also been kind of consolidating. We've been closing clinics, lowering staff numbers. We're not in a growth phase. But it's great to see that a physical therapy practice can continue to grow even in this environment. A couple of the more interesting, I think more applicable elements of information: visits per day. So ATI delivered 24,238 visits, which was up from the previous quarter, which was 23,435 visits. But if we look at visits per day per clinic, they were doing 27 visits per day per clinic compared to 25. I don't know how many PTs, how many PTAs, I don't know what kind of staff they have, but still, it's interesting to see if you've ever seen ATI clinics. They're a pretty typical outpatient orthopedic clinic, to know that they're doing on average 27 visits per day. Pretty interesting number. The other one that I think is probably most important is how much they're bringing in per visit and how much each visit costs. So rate per visit is $108. If you think of a typical 4-unit Medicare Part B reimbursement after MPPR, after sequestration, it's going to be lower than 100. It's probably going to be closer to $98 per visit. At least that's what I'm seeing here in Ohio. So for them to be doing $108 in revenue per visit, they're looking at probably some higher reimbursing commercial insurance or maybe some workers' comp. But that is down. It's down almost $1 from Q3 2023. So year over year, it's an increase of 4.6%, which would be great, but down quarter over quarter. Okay, the other one, salaries and related costs, we've got the broad number, 99 million. But what we want to see is how much is the cost per visit. So it's costing ATI $56.56 per visit, where the previous quarter it was $57.47 per visit. You can see there was a decrease in the cost per visit. Says down here, the quarter over quarter decrease was primarily driven by higher labor productivity of 9.4 visits per day per full-time equivalent. That's a huge, very valuable number. That tells us that a typical ATI employee is seeing 9.4, let's say under 10 visits per day per FTE. That's good to know. If it's 5 days a week, 10 visits per day, that's 50 visits a week, somewhere between 45 and 50 visits a week for a full-time therapist on average. Rent, supplies, contract labor, 52 million compared to similar 52 million the previous quarter. It says PT rent and other per clinic expense was 57,000 compared to 57,000 in the third quarter. And that's really about it. There's nothing else too important here. I just think that you guys might benefit. I'll share the link to this article in the description of this video so you guys can look at this for yourself. You can grab these numbers. I can tell you from the day that I started my physical therapy practice in 2002, I have been looking at publicly traded companies to get a glimpse of their financials, to have an idea of where my business performance is relative to those guys.